This video is brought to you by the California Department of Food and Agriculture's Fertilizer Research and Education Program. FREP's mission is to advance agricultural nutrient irrigation management practices through research, education, and outreach to promote agricultural productivity and protect human and environmental health in California. FREP is an industry-funded grant program and receives funding through a mill assessment on fertilizer sales. FREP serves many different groups in California agriculture, including farmers and ranchers, crop advisors, technical assistance providers, agricultural workers, agricultural supply and service professionals, and academic communities. Anyone is eligible to apply for FREP funding, with the exception that FREP does not support proprietary product development, testing, or promotion. FREP started funding projects in 1990. Since then, FREP has supported over 270 projects across the state of California, covering nutrient irrigation management in vegetable, field, tree, vine, nursery, and ornamental growing systems. FREP has also funded several crop-independent projects. The following video clips are from a recently completed FREP grant focused on developing irrigation and nutrient management guidelines for industrial hemp, led by Bob Hutmacher with UC Cooperative Extension.
We're at the University of California Westside Research and Extension Center in western Fresno County, and we have a number of industrial hemp trials that we've been working on for the last 2 years. And one of them is an irrigation trial. So one of the questions with any sort of new to the area crop is a question about how much water does it use and what kind of response might you expect? What can you manipulate if you change the amount of available water? So in that particular study, we basically came up with estimates of full water use, and then we're applying either 40%, 70%, 100% treatments in order to investigate basically responses to deficit irrigation. So one of the things is that there is a lot of variation in the cultivars, not just in size of plants, but in days to maturity. There also are differences in what's called photoperiod sensitivity. And that impacts the timing of the year that you could grow these crops. So if the plant is photoperiod sensitive, it's sensitive to short days. As the days shorten, then the plant gets a signal basically to go into reproductive development. And so those would be the photoperiod sensitive types. And generally those tend to be larger plants with longer maturity timings. There also are types that are not photoperiod sensitive, and those have some real value or interest because then you could grow them at different times of the year. So you potentially could grow them not with say in the San Joaquin Valley, you could aim for a late winter or an early spring planting, or you could alternatively maybe plant them in the late summer or early fall, again for sort of shoulder season timing of production. And so again, quite a variation, and again, those would be expected to impact total amount of water used in these kind of studies, and then also probably the timing of when the water is used by the plant. One of the other areas that we know is a question in developing a plan or a production plan for a new crop is what should be the fertility management program. What we've looked at so far is basically saying that for the photoperiod sensitive types that actually produce a pretty significant amount of biomass, you need to be able to have adequate nitrogen, we're assuming, in order to be able to produce that crop. So our target applications have been about 120 pounds of nitrogen per acre, minus an adjustment for the residual nitrate in the top either 1 or 2 feet, depending on what your local practice is. And in terms of phosphorus and potassium, our approach here at Westside has been to just make sure that we supply pre-plant P and K in levels similar to what we would do for vegetable crops, just to make sure that that's not a limitation on what is an irrigation study or some other type of main variable we're looking at. I think one of the ideas in a state like California is what could we actually be competitive in terms of our production costs being so high. So a rain-fed location with relatively low-cost land compared to the cost of land in California and the cost of water in California, that's certainly going to come into play and where it makes sense for us to maybe fit in these markets. With growing some of these crops that are sort of new to the region or new to our experiences, is that I think there are some real definite agronomic, production management type of questions that are part of the picture that really needs to be answered. Obviously, this is definitely a crop where cultivar choice is a primary thing of interest, but where you go from there in terms of optimal densities, how those should be irrigated, fertility management, pest and disease management, those are all things that really need to be sorted out to take out some of the kind of the question marks about whether this is a good choice for the area, and also to give you a realistic idea of what are going to be some of the challenges in terms of production practices. It's not a completely throw it in the ground, everything will work perfectly crop, just as most growers would expect. There are going to be some production challenges that need to be sorted out.
For more examples of FREP projects, you can visit the FREP Grants page. The webpage includes summaries of current projects and final reports for completed projects. This is a great resource to use if you're considering applying for funding or if you're searching for studies in irrigation and nutrient management. Thank you for watching. This video is brought to you by the FREP team. Videography skills by Karen Adler and Ahmad Jahanzad, and editing and narration by Nicole Nunes.